Well, that's what I always said about the left. They're all for pluralism on condition there's none.
No. We need to move it on.
First of all, it wasn't the secular movement who was involved in the assassination. It was someone from Herzliya, one of the most secular towns within the Green Line. And by the way, Victor Lieberman promotes a policy of territorial withdrawal that goes beyond merits. But I think in many ways you're right. Criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitism. But the tolerance of abiding and enduring double standards towards the Jewish state makes anti-Semitism an increasingly plausible explanation, and that's the real failing of the Jewish elites. That's the real failing of the Jewish elites. My question is, do you agree at the end? So stop me and I'll ask, do you agree? And the Jewish community in America has been derelict in supporting human rights. The most basic human rights of Israeli Jews to life. Because the most vile form of racism is expecting Jews to die meekly. The most vile form of racism is to try and adopt every coercive measure that the Israeli government adopts to protect its citizens against those people who are trying to kill them just because they're Jews, as racially motivated. Do you agree?
Well, as someone whose parents come from, I appreciate the accent. First of all, I think it's important to note that when Avigdor Lieberman says that he supports territorial withdrawal, Avigdor Lieberman's vision of what that would mean, as you well know, is in fact to redraw the line, so a significant chunk of Israeli Arabs against their will.
Why would they embrace that?
Well, in fact, because that's the whole point, sir, because they consider themselves Israelis. They don't want to be in a Palestinian state. They're considered Benedict Arnolds by the rest of the Arab world because, in fact, what they really want is, in fact, to be treated with decency and equality as Israelis. And to take a group of people against their will and redraw a boundary so that they're no longer in the country that they consider home, it seems to me, is not an ethical position to take. On this question of double standards, it seems to me that we all have a particular responsibility for those people about whom we care the most. If Israel could do anything it wanted and be far morally superior to North Korea or Syria or Libya or Iran, but that, as a Jew, that doesn't make me very happy. It seems to me I have a set of expectations, hopes, dreams for what a Jewish state will be that I don't necessarily have for North Korea. And if I believe that my criticism is in service of helping Israel live out that vision, the vision of a state that would be guided by the ethical principles of the prophets, as Ben-Gurion said on Independence Day when Israel was created, I should not have to compromise that because North Korea is far worse. I agree that to ask Israel not to be willing to defend itself is wrong. But the question is, does every Israeli military action, does every Israeli policy actually contribute to Israeli self-defense? How was the Gaza blockade, which didn't allow students from Gaza to go to the West Bank to study at university, which left the population 80% on food aid because virtually all exports were banned, that banned a vast number of consumer products that had nothing to do whatsoever with the making of rockets? How did that help Israeli security? It seemed to me all it did was lead to more and more hatred of Israel. And so while I agree that Israel has the right to defend itself, I don't agree that every military action or every policy that Israel takes in the name of self-defense is really actually serves to promote Israeli security. So I guess that's probably where we disagree.
Vivian.
Again, thank you for bringing an important issue to the... What I'm finding somewhat lacking, and I guess is the framework, the nuance. And being a moderate, I feel that I'm not represented anywhere. And what I don't see, I mean, you mentioned your grandmother. Our dinner table has every point of view expressed. So when you're saying the American establishment isn't representing American Jewry or liberal Zionists, our daughters grew up and were schooled in these walls. They do not favor Lieberman. They do not favor settlements. I don't hear that, and I understand you wanted to bring debate to the question. So the question to me is, when you say critical of Israel, because our dinner tables from the grassroots up, I think, question many things, do you mean that American Jewish leaders should go to our political leaders and contradict the sitting elected Israeli government when we think that's the case? And if that is what you're saying,